In the previous section, we looked into some of the traditional ways Chinese people spend their time. In most cases, foreigners may think Chinese ways of entertainment are less intense and focus more on self-cultivation in a gentle way. However, modern Chinese, especially the young generation, have their own ways for relaxation and fun. In this section, we will find out some new ideas and recreational activities, and this will bring up a particular expression skill for further study, the expository writing. We will first come to know what an expository writing is through two brief examples. Next, we are going through 5 types of expository writing in practical use. And finally, with the writing framework and some tips, we will try to accomplish our own expository writing piece. What is an expository writing? First, let's look at some forms of entertainment that are popular among today's young people. Example 1. Name tag ripping battle is a competitive game which serves as a grand finale in a TV entertainment program, Running Man, and it inspires many youngsters to imitate in their real life. The game requires participants to hide, chase, and even tussle together, so that they could tear off the name tags attached to the backs of the opponents. Sometimes the game could be really violent and quite risky, that the venue should be cautiously selected in order to avoid potential danger. Example 2. Immersive theater differentiates itself from traditional theater. In a traditional theater, you buy a ticket, sit in a seat, and watch what happens on the stage. However, immersive theater creates live experiences for the modern brain and the adventurous soul. By using a specific location with theatrical settings, it is all about creating participative theater experiences, where the audience gave up their observer status. Instead, they directly participate in the performance by conversing with the actors and interacting with their surroundings, thereby become the performer and immerse themselves in the play. In this way, they access different levels of the meaning of the story and acquire a deep, intuitive understanding of the plot. The first sample explains what name tag ripping battle is. It is a competitive game. It informs us of the game players, the youngsters, and uses some verbs to describe what the participants have to do in the game. The second sample compares the differences between immersive theater and traditional theater. The former breaks the fourth wall, the invisible wall that separates actors from the audience. Thus, it stresses the essence of immersive theater, the creation of the live experiences. These two brief introductions both mean to inform certain ways of entertainment by explaining, describing, or comparing. This kind of writing is also called exposition. Simply put, expository writing is used to convey factual information, as opposed to creative writing. It is everywhere in our daily life, not just academic settings. If you've ever read an encyclopedia entry, a how-to article on a website, or a chapter in a textbook, then you've encountered examples of expository writing. There are 5 main types of expository essay. The first is called descriptive essay. If you are asked to describe something, for example, a person, place, experience, situation, etc., then you are writing descriptive exposition. Be careful, this is different from the narrative writing we learned in the other unit. Narrative writing tends to tell a story. What happens first, when comes as a surprise, while descriptive exposition focuses more on a revelation of the facts, people's appearances, or the story setting. For instance, a narrative essay about a traveling tour can tell the story of a family taking their trip to an island country, about what funny things happen during the trip or what kind of food they eat. It is the first day we stay in Britain. Surprisingly, we all like the weather here. It is sunny, but not hot at all. We spent the whole afternoon out there at Betty's tea house, like what the British would typically do, enjoying the leisurely afternoon tea time. On the other hand, a descriptive exposition might illustrate the geographic features, or the history of the island, or inform about the travel plan. The second type is called process essay. This is a classic one about instructing a process of how to do things. For example, how to find your inner balance in Kyudo, a form of meditation through archery, or how to play croco cubes. We just met the next type in the introduction to immersive theater. At the beginning, we compare the differences of traditional theaters and immersive ones, in the hope to foreground what the immersive theater is. This type of essay is called comparison essay, which makes you critically analyze any two or more subjects through comparison and contrast. The last two are called cause and effect essay and problem solution essay. As their names suggest, the former one is connected with why and how things happen, and what happens as a result, while the latter one is broken down into a brief introduction to the problem and brings forward possible solutions. Then, how to write an expository writing. Keep in mind, an expository writing is first and foremost informational. Thus, the basic requirements. Stick to the facts. Use description, instruction, and explanation. And make sure to be clear and concise. Let's use a game menu, a typical example of expository writing, to learn this writing technique. Recently, there is this outdoor activity that wins great popularity among young people. It is called orienteering. As this entertainment is still in its infancy in China, in order to spread it among people of all ages, it would be of great use to write an exposition of orienteering for beginners. First, it is fundamental to offer an overview. What is it? And most importantly, what is the object of the game? A kind of modern treasure hunting, orienteering is a timed event, largely across an open area, where participants navigate through a series of checkpoints along the way. Those who spend the least time passing the most checkpoints become the final winners. Now that the readers know orienteering is basically a navigation competition, then how to play it? Next comes an explanation of the fundamental rules to follow. Participants, in most cases, take part by individual, or sometimes for beginners in pairs. They have to take a watch to keep time, as well as a map and a compass for navigation across an open area, like a park, a campus, or a forest. When they arrive at a checkpoint, they have to punch a card or collect something for proof. The scoring is based on the total time spent and the number of checkpoints they pass through. As walking, running, or hiking are often the case, comfortable shoes and sportswear are highly recommended. In this body paragraph, we also include some detailed information, like the number of players, the equipment or setup needed, the venue to play, the scoring method, and for outdoor games, the proper dress code. The purpose for this part is to let readers know how to play the game. Finally, they may need some strategies as to win the game. For a better performance, it is necessary for game players to hone two basic skills: navigation and route planning. A well-directed navigation will ensure that they read the map correctly, spot the checkpoints quickly, so that they will not go astray and get lost. An effective route planning will enable the players to pick up the best route, detouring the barriers and rough sections, saving time and energy. Alright, that is pretty much all the information needed for a game menu, and it is fun for us to come to this OOPS framework. The overview and object come first, when we tell what the game is and its object. This is followed by play, to explain the rules to follow. We also add more detailed information in this part. And finally, the strategies help the players to win the game. Don't forget, we are practicing the expository writing skill here. To stick to the facts and keep objective, there are two more things we need to pay special attention to. First, think about the readers and use appropriate perspectives. The third-person perspective is often advisable, as in the writing sample. Participants, in most cases, take part by individual or sometimes for beginners in pairs. They have to take a watch to keep time, as well as a map and a compass for navigation across an open area, like a park, a campus, or a forest. Second, to make it sound more authoritative and objective, the impersonal subject would be used, as opposed to personal subject. In the sample, we say, a well-directed navigation will ensure that they read the map correctly, spot the checkpoints quickly, so that they will not go astray and get lost. An effective route planning will enable the players to pick up the best route, detouring the barriers and rough sections, saving time and energy. For the same effect, the formal subject, it, and the passive voice are often the better choices. For a better performance, it is necessary for game players to hone two basic skills: navigation and route planning. As walking, running, or hiking are often the case, comfortable shoes and sportswear are highly recommended. Up to now, we have broken people's stereotypes of traditional Chinese ways of recreation and introduced some popular and fashionable leisure time activities enjoyed by the modern Chinese. At the meantime, we have learned 5 types of expository writing. Apply this practical skill to the writing of the game menu, and surprisingly come to an OOPS framework. Oops, time is up. Work hard, play hard. Let's take a break and go have some fun.